Obviously, it's a big one. Influence is very powerful, and I was praying this morning. I think one of my desires was that that God gives me, like, power, demonstration of His power to impact lives and people around me. So I was in the book of Exodus, and you realize that God, Moses had an encounter with God before he could actually speak to the people of Israel and to Pharaoh and the Egyptians. So, what the most significant thing about his encounter with God is that God began to teach him what he would do. So, imagine what a mess Moses would be if he went to the children of Israel and said, um, oh, God has called me to deliver you people, to change your lives. Where is the signs? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Imagine if God had not prepared Moses to carry out the signs that he had taught him on Mount Horeb when he met him in the book of Exodus 3. And when you look at Elijah, is it Prophet Elijah in the book of First Kings 18? you know um, Elijah was so confident in his God. Why? Because he had, on a personal level, he had miracles, he had testimonies of what God could do. So when he was talking to the 400 prophets of Baal, he said, let's prove it today, let's settle this matter today, for once and for all, between you, between your God and my God, who is stronger, who is mightier, so that people can follow one God and choose one God. So he already knew that God would answer him by fire. He had already encountered him somewhere in his personal life, in his encounters, on his altar, in his prayer time, in his own life, that God could do certain things. And the Bible says in the book of Daniel, it says that those that know their God will be strong and do mighty exploits. Many times as Christians, um, we go about trying to prophesy about a God and speak about a God that we do not know. The first thing that we need to do is start with ourselves. Like, what exactly, who do we know? The Bible says they overcame him by the word of their testimony. What testimony do we have? What has Jesus done? The Bible says the children of, God gave the children of Israel testimonies. He split the sea, he made water come out of the rocks. So when they taught their children and said, this is the God we serve, he split the sea so that we can pass through it. He made water come out of rocks. He fed us in the wilderness with manna. So you understand that we need to first have a personal encounter with God, and it goes far beyond us demonstrating the power of God. We need to engage even the other mountains of influence. People are educated. The Bible says in the last days wisdom will increase, understanding will increase. People are so fascinated by science, by research work. So what can we as Christians come together also and put our hands together and say, what can we do about let's do research on the consequences, let's say, of sex before marriage, the consequences of not being faithful, the consequences of adultery, the consequences of fornication. One time my youth pastor, Pastor Benjamin, he said to us, when he came to an academic convention, when we were at NRDC, he says, as Christians, you can't sit down around a table of very influential people, and say to them, sex before marriage is a sin. Yes, you have to say sex before marriage is a sin, and here's the science to back it up. It's a dream. It's a dream that I have, sort of like a dream that I have, that we need to start to go beyond just the word of mouth. And I pray that God gives us the grace to stand up and to influence our communities. If you look at the book of Daniel, Daniel was a captive in the land of the Chaldeans. He was living in a land where he was a prisoner. He was literally a prisoner. But what distinguished him, what made him, what made those people that are around him, even the eunuchs, the and the servants of King Nebuchadnezzar to listen to him was the fact that they realized this man is wise. And not only is he wise, but there is demonstration. You know, Daniel said, you know what? I don't need to eat this food that you're sacrificing to your gods. And he says he had these good relationships with the people that were put in charge over him. And he said to them, he said, um, I will just observe me and see what happens. You just give me vegetables and don't give me these meats that you're sacrificing to your gods, and see if we will not be as healthy as those people. And the Bible says they became more healthier. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's the stance. What stance do we have? Do we believe in the God that we serve? Can we go back to our altars and say, God, can you give me power to stand before people and to speak your word and to demonstrate your power? You know, we might not if we need to split the seas, let's split the seas again. If we need to split, you know, Kariba Dam, let's do it. If we need to donate food products to people, for people to hear us, let's do it. The Bible says faith without works is dead. It says, how can you go to someone who's naked and say to them, it is well with you, you are warm? The Bible says it is of no significant value if we do not work, if our faith are not backed up with works. So therefore we need to go to these people and say, fornication is wrong, but this is the solution we're offering you. This is what God is offering you. The problem is that the church has become weak. These are the last days. The Bible says that the church shall become lukewarm. It says they're neither hot nor cold. Is that ourselves, we do not have the testimony of Jesus Christ. We don't know the power of God. We are just doing things just for the sake of doing them. When we go to the non-believers and say, give your life to Christ, we don't even know the significance. We don't even believe in the value that it has, because we have not sought God with all our hearts to find him and to find his heart, so that we might be impacted by him. And therefore, as we are impacted by him, we therefore impact our communities. I think I've spoken a lot. 7 minutes. Okay. Yeah, this is okay. Yeah.